Okay, hey everyone. This is going to be a session on spec driven development. So, want to talk a little bit about spec driven development and how it works. So, one of the core things in spec driven development is these slash commands here. First, you have your research, then you have your implement, and then you have your create. The idea here is that for every single feature, bug, or whatever you have, you can use these commands, which is essentially a workflow. We'll have this inside a Git repo, and you could read through it. It's a workflow that helps you first research what you're trying to do. Basically, what this is doing is it's going through the code base, looking at what you just requested, the feature that you just requested, comparing against the code base, how it exists, and comes up with some great research. The the great research part, right, is really about finding snippets of code and also the exact line position of the code. So the existing code, it will go ahead and find the exact line position and stuff like that. So you don't use too much of your context when the actual implementer of the code, once you actually run the implement plan, it doesn't have to use too much context. It knows right away where to go. So the research, you only use this one truly when it's a harder problem, a bigger problem. Otherwise, and this would feed into your create plan. Now, your create plan, this is truly creating that implementation plan. This is going to create something like this. And this is truly saying like, okay, at this file here, this is what I want you to do, and really just walking them through step by step the implementer agent. So one of the things that I kind of glossed over here is another key aspect to this stuff, because what I'm arguing here is that in spec driven development, you will always see this pattern. You'll see a research, you'll see a create, and you'll see an implement, right? But what these guys are doing, these are just workflows, and they're really orchestrating these agents here. The code base analyzer, the code base locator, the code base pattern finder. You notice code base. These workflows are just really meant to like really research the problem at hand, looking at your specific code base. So it does all that upfront work and gives very specific granular, like at this line, this is what it's doing, and this is where I think you need to do it. Like do this at that point. That very specific stuff. So why specific? Because if you give a big context to your implementing agent, the guy that's actually going to write the code, if your context window is like this huge, it's going to get confused. You want to give it very narrow, very specific requests so that it doesn't get confused and it can do its job well. So that's pretty much the idea. So let's look at here. Here's the implementation plan that it came up with. It says, okay, here's the plan. I'm going to do this. I'm sorry, this is the implementation plan. I apologize. Let's go here. This is the implementation plan. This is what was implemented. So this is the plan before the actual implementation. So this is what happens after you run the plan agent here, or the plan / command, which is right here, create plan. So what it's going to do is it's going to do that research, like I said, is against your existing code base, and it will document everything that it finds that is relevant to your situation. You can see like, hey, it's coming up with these files, not just the file though. Look, it's coming up with the exact lines. So when the implementing agent actually starts using this guy, it's not even having to read the whole file. It can go directly to these lines within the file, limiting that context. That's the name of the game. The less context, the more specific you can get, the better outcomes you're going to have when you're actually coding the implementation. And so it goes ahead and talks about the different phases it needs to do. Let me skip down here a little bit. It's given some snippets. It will go ahead and have these quality gates, right? Make sure that you have to do these before calling yourself done. This is another important concept. You need to have that feedback loop that goes into the coding agent. You need to let it know. You got to give it some signal to let it know where if it's going the right way or if it's going the wrong way. And you can come up with better commands than this. This is just I'm just starting off here. But the idea is you give it ways to tell if it's going on the right path. Give it some signal. And after it's all done, it will go ahead and say, hey, here's what I implemented and stuff like that. Once you run that implementation plan, it will take the output of the create plan, this right here, and actually implement it. And so if I go look at what this guy actually did here, let me show you. Run dev. He did a pretty cd front end pnpm run dev. So he did a good job where I didn't have to guide him too much. But if you look at what happened though, let's take a look at this. I took that so you can see it's okay. Like so the feature was create a landing page and create a sign up page. And it definitely did do that with social providers. And it's only supposed to be UI at this point, not any actual logic behind it, no back-end stuff. But you can see that right now it looks kind of ugly, to be blunt. So what can I have done to make this a little bit better? That's what I'm going to explore here, right? So actually, sorry, not explore here. This is my, I'm sorry here. Let me stop this right here. So I'm going to go to actually this one here. And so guys, what I've done here is I've noticed that when I ran that create plan, the create plan of the, of that last one over here, this was more for, just in general and more for like, just a generic, mainly back end though. It seemed more probably would fit better for back end type of running. So what I thought was, hey, let me try something where I create the same create plan and same implement plan, but have a very specific UI version of that, right? And so that's what I'm doing here. And so I've just ran the create plan UI. Now the create plan UI, and now it's coming up with this. And so this is more what I wanted to do. So the big changes that I did inside the create plan UI is I asked it to use MCP server Shad CN UI and MCP server Playwright. So ShatCN, that is what I use. That's my component library. It's my design framework, if you would. It's a very popular one. ShadCN, if you could go ahead and look it up. It has a MCP server that allows you to go ahead and view different components, see how they're used, and you can let your AI agent actually decide if it wants to use it or not. And this is what this guy is doing. Actually, he went ahead and he found like, hey, there's some existing stuff that are out there, but I want to add these from ShadCN, the registry that I have. And so that's what it's coming up with in the implementation plan, which was 10 times better than what I did with the generic create plan, right? So let me step back here. What I'm trying to call out here is you're going to iterate on that research, create, implement. Those slash commands in spec driven development are so important. You can start customizing it to your project, right? I have this UI specific use case. I have Next.js. I like Shad CN, so I want it to use that. And I want it to validate what it looks like. So if I go here, it really should have noticed like, hey, this, you can't even read it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask it to use the Playwright MCP server, where Playwright will go ahead, log into my local and like take screenshots actually, and it will give that image as input to the coding agent and give that feedback. Again, you want to give that loop, that feedback loop to give it that signal, give the coding agent a signal to know if it's doing the right thing. And inside this case, for the UI stuff, it's definitely worth using Playwright. So you can take these screenshots, so you can look at the console logs from the browser. Stuff like that is like a perfect case for customization using this Playwright. So this looks a lot better to me, and I'm just going to go ahead and say, yep, that looks good to me. And it's going to go ahead and create this another spec. Here's my spec folder, and you can see that it should be creating this plan. Here's the plan now that it's creating. So what is this folder, right? I think I glossed over this a little bit. So in spec driven development, you'll have this thing called a spec. This is essentially your feature. This is what you want the coding agent to do. And you should work probably with your product development people, work with basically humans should be writing this. Let humans like come up with what you actually want to do and detail it out, right? And we should be checking this spec into our repos, right? Putting underneath the feature name spec. That way, you can share it across multiple different implementations. What do I mean by that? Inside spec driven development and just coding agents in general, one of the core concepts is you can throw away code. Like, I didn't like this code right here, right? And so I can just completely just ignore this code and go just do it again. But once I do it again, I don't have to start all over. I can just use the spec and rerun that create plan, or inside this case, I created a new workflow using create plan UI. So I think it's going to work better. But the point is, the spec did not truly change. I changed it a little bit down here because I thought this was good, but the spec does not have to change. You can try multiple implementations with this one spec. That is, to me, that's a big concept in this spec stuff. Having this spec file, having these commands here, having these agents that research your code base, these are all huge things. And so how does this compare to, like, let's say, vibe coding, where I would just go inside here and start prompting away, hey, do this for me. Hey, do that. No, I don't like this. Do this. So I'm kind of like going back and forth with this guy. That is lost information. That is not going to scale well, and your developers are not ever going to get that 10x type of lift. What will get you that lift, right, is coming up with these workflows inside Claude. It's called slash commands, and leveraging these agents to do this type of workflow where it's reusable. You don't have to come up with this logic over and over again. You battle test these guys, right? And everyone should be battling test. Your whole development team should be battling testing these, trying to find new ones if the new cases come up, if you need to. But the point is, you should not just be throwing away your workflow of like your prompting, that vibe coding stuff. That's for amateurs, really. Let's start using spec-driven development, and this would produce better results. So going back to this one here, let's see, where am I at? Let's go back here. Okay, no, so this is right. So now it just went ahead and created that new spec for me. I'm sorry, not the new spec, but the new plan for me. So now my next step, since now I have the plan, is let's create. But instead of creating with the create plan, I'm going to use my new create plan. I'm sorry, not create plan, implement. Instead of using implement plan of old, that's what produced that ugly screen. I'm going to use this implement plan UI. And so now I'm going to pass it like, please implement the plan at landing page plan.md. So I pass it the plan. This is what was that first step. Oh, really, guys? I made a mistake a little bit. I should have done this slash clear so I could clear the context. You want to make sure that you're always keeping your context as small as possible. And that was a mistake by me. So that's something very conscious you have to be in mind. Make sure that your context is as small as possible, have only the relevant information. But anyways, let's see how it does. It's going to run, and inside this implement plan UI, right, this is going to use, I expect it to use the MCP servers. Yes, there it goes. It's using the SAG2N right now, and it should be using Playwright, actually. So it's going to run and it's going to be installing these things from Chatien. It should be running the Playwright server to take those screenshots and feed it back in. So it does that feedback loop. So if it looks ugly, it should know, right? And this time around, instead of me just kind of like describing what I want, I gave it some pictures, right? I gave it some pictures like, hey, this is kind of like the look and feel I want. I stole it from Stripe. Just thought that was a good enough web page. So there it goes. It's trying to do this stuff. So you're constantly giving it permissions, but you can always save it. Let me see. There's a thing. If I do, what is it? It's something tab where I can let it go. Shift tab. That's right. Okay. So shift tab. Okay, it's already on there, except edits on. So this hopefully doesn't ask me too many times. Need to look into that. But essentially, it's always it's safe. It's not going to just do stuff without your permission. It will ask you, can I do this or can I not do this? Type of deal. So this thing is going to run for a little bit, and it's going to should be using Playwright. It should be spinning up that headless browser and taking screenshots and stuff like that. And hopefully, after iterations, again, it's getting that feedback loop. After many iterations, it will go ahead and conform to this design, which would be pretty neat. And yeah. So that is, in a nutshell, what I'm thinking as far as the spec-driven development. Like, to recap, guys, it is using the research, the create plan, the implement plan, using these agents that really research your coding project, so it gets the exact line numbers. So once you hand it off to the implementation agent, it knows exactly where to go, because you want to free up that context. You don't want a big context window. You want a small context window. Inside specs, your spec folder, you will have this spec that is something that you will write, and you can leverage it in multiple different tries, if you will. So you don't have to just try once. You can try it in multiple different sessions. They're all conforming to the same spec using these commands. This, I want to go even more into it, but this is a good just of it, if you will. Want to go a little bit deeper, but for now, I'm just going to let this guy run. I'll come back and let you know how it went. But yeah, I'm going to stop sharing now. Thanks. Hope you liked it.